Hey man, I was thinking of employing your services, but I've got this like laundry list of things that I think I need to overcome, and I was just wondering if I could like ask you some questions to see how you'd go about overcoming them. I was like, hey man, like yeah, no worries. My name's someone, and ask away, and I'll give like a pretty like brief general description, which will give you an idea as to where we're going. But yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to listen to you. Sure, man. I mean, it's getting pretty hard, and I don't really see any other way out apart from ask for help outside of myself. But the first one is, how do you deal with emotional triggers? Because like, I get triggered a lot, sort of thing, and then I don't know how to overcome it, and it's terrifying, and I'm sick of it because I end up like hurting people around me and all that sort of stuff, and I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah, man. I know the feeling. I think that one of the tricks is like it's actually like the fear of getting triggered itself, which actually adds to the level of triggered we get. So what I do is really as I get us to validate and accept your feelings and my feelings as well at the same time, because this is a team effort. And then once you can like accept more your dysregulation and not be so afraid of it. From there we can from there, when you actually do get triggered, you can be more observant of the actions, and therefore it is less painful because you're actually like almost happy for it to be here, like an old friend. And that's a part of my teachings. On top of that sort of thing, I also teach more about boundaries. So one of the boundaries that I have is that if I'm disrespected, I'm going to get upset, and we're going to have to talk about it. And so through teaching boundaries, I also show that like if there's something that you can't overcome, or if you're feeling disrespected, that you're going to choose you and not necessarily the other person's presence in order to maintain your own self-respect, because saying no to other people is saying yes to yourself. So I help teach people how to teach themselves on how to say no to other people in order to have say yes to themselves. I never thought about how scared I actually was of being dysregulated. I've never really considered. Well, I know I am, but I've never considered like walking back towards it. Well, yeah, like this is a part of like emotional maturity and emotional intelligence is teaching how to do is learning how to do these things, and it's not necessarily easy, but the important thing is that I give you the information and the strategy so that you can actually like go home by yourself and actually go through all these processes in order to accept these things more within yourself, because we can take away so much of the pain. Cool, man. I'll just go on with the next one. Thank you for that. How about in a conflict? Because like I'm in two worlds quite often. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I live quite a lot in paradox as well. And again, the thing is that so we've got our paradoxes, our two worlds, our inner conflicts. We're at war with each other, which means we're at war with ourselves, which means quite often we're at war with the people outside of us. And the trick is to well work out how to accept these things as well, up until we find a nice place in the middle. And once we find this nice place of like acceptance in the middle, we become more balanced human beings. And rather than being in conflict with each other, we're just in like polite conversation, accepting conversation, loving conversation with ourselves, which reduces the inner conflict. That's, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It sounds easier than it is. Like that's cool in theory, but it's not how it's worked in my experience. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but with systems in place and so forth, like what's our options? Have inner conflict for the rest of our lives, or actually like work through work through towards inner peace? Um, I know for me, I've used to have massive amounts of inner conflict. I used to have a quite a fractured personality as I'd switch between massive emotional turnovers, about states of overwhelm, beating myself up, and all that sort of stuff. And I can't compare it to what I am now, and I just want to like show how other people can learn that as well, because I really love it. I really love watching other people's progress as I love seeing the progress in my own. Oh, that's cool, man. We'll see how you are at this. How about self-sabotage? I was like, well, self-sabotage is really, it crosses over within a conflict. It crosses over with it. There is an unconscious part of you that is disagreeing with the conscious part of you that wants to do something. So again, it's just a matter of alignment that we just like take the distances between these things and we bring them together with acceptance and love, which I know is terrifying. And through that, we find the best parts of ourselves, and through that, we if we do self-sabotage, we're compassionate towards ourselves, and then from there on we can move on to overcome it, because what we're most afraid of, like self-sabotage, like the thing that we wanted to do, is the thing that we should run towards. That sounds terrifying. I don't know if I want to do that. It's like, yeah, I get it, but like, what are your other options? You keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, or we gradually like nudge us towards and understand strategy and all that sort of thing in order to have more inner peace. Like, I don't know about you, man, but I've spent so much of my life just doing the same thing over and over again, and it did not make me happy or content. And but doing it this way and actually like finding the balance between everything has just made my life so much more beautiful. And I can't I'm not going to get into just how much I was suffering beforehand. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, man. Like, I don't quite know where this is going, but I'm definitely like, you're saying things that resonate with me. So thank you for that. How about perfectionism? well, I don't know. Everything's perfect, nothing's perfect. Like, we just have to try things. And to be honest, you outside of your awareness, there's like so many things that you actually achieve, which is like, somewhat perfect. You feed yourself every day and all that sort of stuff, and to remind yourself of all the ways that you are good enough uh, is a part of this work. And seeing that there are so many things that you're actually succeeding at in every single day is like a really, really important thing to bring your attention to. And that's something that I put into people's practice and put into my own practice, at all the ways that I am actually like succeeding. And because like a fear of failure really is just like, um, you can't fail as long as you learn from something. And God, everything that I've just spoken about is all a learning opportunity. And I can understand helplessness, like learned helplessness, and it's just like, well, the opposite of that is learned helpfulness. So as you're either winning or learning, and if you're learning, you're growing, and you're growing, you're winning. So you're either winning or winning. So it's really you can't actually go wrong. Yeah, you genuinely can't. And I really want to, and through this process, I'll allow you to be able to see that. That's a really cool quote. I wish I had a piece of paper and a pen to write it down, but I don't. But instead, I'm just going to go on to the next thing. Oh, how about like control issues? I can be like real controlling sometimes. Yeah, control issues are a hard one. Surrendering control to reality, or whatever you want to call this existence, is like a really hard thing. Like, because the truth is that we often don't actually have as much control as we'd like to. In fact, we almost never have as much control as we'd like to. Uh, it's an acceptance process, and you'll find that when you stop trying to beat reality to submission, because between you can go to war with reality, and reality doesn't care, but reality will always win. Or you can be in cooperation with reality and win with reality. It's really up to you. But it's all learning. It's all learning, and it all is learnable. Like, if I could learn it, anyone can learn it. That sounds ridiculous. I don't want to do that though. I want to control reality. Yeah, yeah, like sure, I'd love to be able to control reality too. I'd love to. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Like, I used to. I used to think that like the closest thing that I could get to love was actually control. But I learned over time that gratitude is actually the closest thing that I can get to love, and stop becoming so controlling. And we can either, what we resist persists, and what we let go flows. No, I still want to control things, but I'm still interested in what you actually have to say, and you can like evaluate. I guess I'm gonna have to book you in at this point because like I really need to get over my controlling behavior. I'm saying, yeah, no worries, man. It's like that's what I'm here for. How about suppressed anger? I was like, oh, well, that's a part of validating and accepting your emotions, and then through that, as we begin to allow them to actually come up rather than repressing them. So, the more that we repress them, the more that they'll actually lash out in different ways. And let's face it, like repressed negative emotions or even repressed positive emotions, like the negative ones produce cortisol. Like that shit will kill you. That will give you cancer. Like all that stress and everything. So being able to find systems in order to be able to like accept and love your feelings so you can actually feel them not as a negative or positive thing, but just as a human experience without doing all the overthinking, which then turns into distraction, which then turns into repression, which then we're trying to like push it away for the rest of our lives, trying to outrun a feeling. Like, I don't mean to, like, feelings are really big, but they're not as big as we think they are if we've been repressing them. Actually, once we use systems and actually, like, experience them, then they can flow through us, they can unlock the blockages that are in our heart, and then we can become more freer human beings. Yeah. So, I've got a big thing to talk about, like, anger and things like how punching pillows and so forth actually releases dopamine, and in that release of dopamine or screaming or whatever, how it actually encourages more anger. And I've got different systems to uh, experience and deal with the anger without it encouraging more anger. And through that, of course, if you're not encouraging more anger, if you're not feeding it the dopamine, then overall you're actually going to feel less angry over time. That sounds unbelievable. But at the same time, like you're speaking with sincerity, so I can only like trust what you're saying. And well, like I don't know. It's like it's irrelevant on whether you trust me or not. For me, it's like as long as you're willing to listen to me, I think that your intuition will actually tell you if I'm being truthful or not. And as long as I'm entrusting of myself, which is a practice that has taken me a long time to reach. But yeah, I trust intuitively that what I'm speaking of is truth, sort of thing. And that's really, really important to me. Man, that's so funny because actually I don't really trust myself that much because of all these things that I've got listed here, and they don't really get me anywhere. Anyhow, how do you deal with shame cycles? Well, that's like shame is one of the biggest like roots of shadow work. It's the reason that we push everything into the unconscious is because of shame, because people have shamed us for parts of us. You know, people say to us, you're a bad person because you do that. And then we go, well, we have to be good people. So we take that shameful thing and we just like try to repress it as much as we can. But the thing is that as we repress it, all it does is it needs somewhere to go, and we end up exploding at people. We end up unconsciously doing it where we're not even aware. Then someone tells us, "Oh, you're like this," and we get incredibly offended because we're like, "No, I'm a good person." Or the opposite, we can repress a great thing about us, and people tell us that thing, and we get real offended. We're just like, "No, no, no, I am not like that. Other people are like that, but I am like this. I am horrible. How dare you call me a good person?" And of course, there's negative bias that we always focus on the negative. So part of my work is that, like, yeah, we bring the light into the unconscious, and if anything is like negative, we work on that once, and everything that like is the best parts of ourselves, we're going to work on that twice because we have to overcome our negative bias. That sounds amazing. I don't know what your systems are, but it sounds really really cool. But like this video is getting too long, so I'm just going to carry on. How do you deal with like patterns of guilt? Like I carry a lot of guilt within me. Oh man, like very. I don't know how much I want to give away to be honest, but guilt is just like a process of alternate telling you to correct your behavior. Like it's there's nothing really to feel guilty about. Guilt is just supposed to be this like temporary thing of like, oh, we went about that the wrong way. We need to change our behavior, but and then we change our behavior, and once our behaviors change, we no longer have to feel guilty about it because we've learned from the guilt. Guilt is just a learning tool. But what happens is because we get so laden with guilt, so drowning in guilt, and we're not supported, we previously haven't been supported properly through our phases of guilt. What we do instead is we identify so strongly with that guilt that we can't actually crawl our way out of it. So through elongated conversations with me and so forth, I think you'll discover that the things in your past aren't actually things to feel guilty for. And I know that that's like a big thing where you guys might be like massively resisting, and that could be quite offensive to you. But the only reason that it's actually offensive is because there is truth in it. Because like you'll know well, I'm no better or worse than the next person. Like, I've carried huge amounts of guilt and shame over my life. I've been drowning in it. But, like, I can either continue to let my guilt cause harm to myself and harm to other people, or I can alleviate it for other people and for myself so that I can have better relationships and treat people better. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at all, but I'm no more or less perfect, guilty, or shameful than the next person, than anyone else. But I'm just saying that we don't have to use guilt and shame as something to completely oppress us for the rest of our lives, because fundamentally, like, there's the identity of innocence that we actually stop identifying with when we're covered with guilt and shame, and everything's just a learning opportunity. And I know how heavy that guilt and shame can be. Like, who you're talking to right now is not who you were talking to years ago. But I'm so grateful for that, because it's allowed me to be able to process my guilt and shame, like, as I practice it, just like much easier, and it's much more forgiving. And the other people that I deal with now who have also showed this process, the amount of guilt that they've been carrying for, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, they're finally being able to liberate themselves from it through understanding and forgiveness. Yeah, I can see a sincerity in that, but it's like it's still hard to believe that you'll be able to do that with me. But anyhow, let's carry on. How about self judgment? Well, I find that the people that are the most judgmental of other people are the people that are most judgmental of themselves. So through understanding that, like, there is actually, through understanding projection and resonance and resonating and the difference between the two, and understanding that, like, as Carl Jung said, as Carl Jung said, thinking is hard. That's why most people judge. Um, we're going to do a bit of thinking exercises, although I quite enjoy feeling is hard. That's why most people think. Yeah, so and accepting, loving our feelings, and like exploring and accepting all parts of our unconscious and our conscious, we can basically heal all those areas, and then we can become our complete lovable selves, which we all deserve. Yeah. What can you do about limiting beliefs? Well, the best parts of ourselves aren't actually the worst parts of ourselves. We can focus on those all day, like see negative bias, but the best parts of ourselves are actually the most terrifying parts of ourselves. So the way that we find limiting beliefs is that we dive into our scariest parts, which is our unconscious quite often, and we basically bring those things to the surface, and we just realize that, and we go through the process um, that's been developed. A bit of it's been me and different forms of deep self-reflection to make it so that we're doing stuff together. Um, that's highly effective, that steps into both of our vulnerabilities in order to like alleviate that shame, guilt, and step into the terrifying parts and accept them and love them. And then we can start stopping limiting ourselves. Yeah. It's something that I really, really love this work. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I'm scrunching my toes at the moment. Oh, yeah, well, here's a challenge then. How do you deal with a fear of rejection? Because I'm like terrified of being rejected. Well, it's funny that you say that because people who are terrified of being rejected, I'd actually say that they're addicted to rejection. And let me explain. That's what they think about all the time. The relationships that they get into. I think they unconsciously pick people that will reject them so that they can reaffirm to their ego and say, "See, I told you you didn't believe, you didn't." I can't say it. So, see, I told you you don't deserve to be loved. Man, I can't actually say that anymore because of all the growth that I've done. I can hardly look myself in the mirror and say that. It's so funny because I know that I do deserve to be loved because I've done all this work. I love it. And yeah, so the thing is that when other people reject us, we actually reject ourselves. And it's not that other people reject us that's the problem. It's the us rejecting ourselves that's the problem. So the challenge is that then how do we accept ourselves? And that's why I use shadow work and internal family systems and uh, inner child work and boundaries for us to start accepting ourselves. And it's a practice, and over time we begin to accept ourselves, and through that we become more worthy of ourselves and worthy of being in reality. Because in my opinion, like, we're like, I don't deserve to be here, but reality actually dictates on if we're here or not, doesn't it? On what we deserve. Like, if we're here, this is what we deserve. And this is the thing, like, people talk about life being fair, but life isn't fair. Like, that's a fact. Like, we see unfair things happen all the time. But if we can apply gratitude to whatever happens to us and a learning opportunity to whatever happens to us, then yeah, we deserve everything that maybe happens to us if we can be grateful for it and actually learn from it to become better human beings. And I'm not meaning to dismiss anyone's feelings about stuff, like, not at all. Your feelings are absolutely valid. But the reason that people go through these patterns of like addiction to rejection and then find people that reject them and then they get rejected and then they get hurt about it is because that's a learning opportunity for them to overcome their addiction to rejection. And up until you accept yourself, you will continue to find those people to reject you and you'll get hurt by it. So yeah, like what makes you so special to think that you cannot change considering everyone else is? Bit of a trap. That's something that I heard today, which is awesome. How about codependency? Because man, when I get into a relationship, I just need that person. Well, codependency is like a really big topic. I don't really get too deep into it, but I will say that you have to understand the difference between limerence and love. You have to understand that you are actually your own hero and you're the person that you've been looking for to actually get yourself out of these situations of like self-abuse and all that sort of stuff and neglect. Um, Also known as people pleasing, because people pleasing is also self-abandoning, which is also self-abuse, which then builds resentment. But we're actually resentful towards ourselves, not the other person. We're just feeling resentment for the other person, but that's kind of like reflected back at us because we didn't say no to people, because we didn't put in appropriate boundaries, because we're not actually following what we want to do. Yeah, that's a hard thing to be honest with people about. How about unresolved trauma? Well, man, like I said, like as we accept our darker feelings, and we're less afraid of them, and then we can like dive into them and like experience them, and yeah, it like hurts, but it's not the death of us. It's kind of like the death of our old identity, and then we can go back to our trauma. We can realize that like even though it was terrifying or whatever, it wasn't it's something that we can learn to accept. And you're going to hate me saying this, but learn to appreciate, because it's giving you something that you can grow from and learn from and have compassion for other people that are in similar situations, and then you can actually help them navigate through the situations using different strategies. Yeah, so I know people tend to be pretty open with me about where their trauma is, and once we dive into it and wiggle our ways through with it, with co-regulating, which is funny because I said codependency, but co-regulating and just going through that thing, you can come out to the other side and go, man, I'm so happy to go through this process, because the stuff, I can think about this stuff now and it no longer hurts, and I'm not running away from it, I'm not resisting it, I'm not pushing it away. It's just like, oh yeah, it's there. It's like, hi, love you, thanks for hanging out because you're a part of me. Cool, stay as long as you want, but like, yeah, when you're good, we'll go on to the rest of our lives. Yeah. I love it. That is a really weird, you're kind of like very, very cryptic with your answers, but how about hidden desires? I mean, a shadow work is making the unconscious conscious, and you want to know about hidden desires. It's so funny. It's like almost like an ironic question. Yeah, well, when we, so some people say bring people into the light, or so I say bring the light into the darkness, and like bring that light and light up the entire inner world of us. And then when we as we are lighting up all the inner world of us, we'll actually discover more things about ourselves. And as we've regulated our emotions, of course, we're able to observe them without so much judgment, and listen to them, have a conversation with them, and learn from them, in order for us to find out what we actually want to do with our lives. So yeah, that is about it. Man, I think I have to have a phone call with you because you're pretty good at breaking this stuff down. I need to book you in. Like, let's do this. And it was like, cool. Like, yeah, as you know, like my sessions are this long. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just now talking to the camera because I didn't plan to do past this point here. And it's like, dude, you can just turn off the camera whenever you want. I love you. It's like, well, I love you too. Like, I think you know that. And yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And love you, love you, love you. And looking forward to connecting with you.